Hey, this is Gail Kim, Impact Hall of Famer.
Warlord of Weird, Sin Bodhi.
This is Nova, the elite athlete.
Hey, this is Jason Sensation.
On the Mountie.
Visionary Von Vertigo.
Alexia Nicole.
Tyson Dukes. The Wrestling Machine.
Former WWF/WWE referee Jimmy Corderas.
I'm Ardo Cal.
Diamond Tiger, Kobe Durst.
Travis Moore, the Day Tripper.
This is Paul the Butcher. Vashon.
Hey guys, this is Tyson Kidd, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approved Counted Out with Mike and Tyler, a patriotic edition, if you will, because it is our traditional Canada Day episode. My name is Tyler. I am joined, as always, well, not as always recently, because you've been kind of MIA with the birth of your daughter, but we had you on last week and this week again, 2 weeks in a row. Mojito Mike in the house.
I'm Cottage Springs Mike this week. Oh, you can't see that.
Oh,
let's just say I have a big old box of Cottage Springs beside me. I'm sitting at my cottage. No better way to spend the birth of our nation, other than to say, I think I'm going to call it, instead of you can just leave that there, bud. Instead of calling it Canada Day, we're going to call it Fuck Puff Day. Puff,
because he
for those
got
who
mad
don't
at
follow Puff on social media. So Puff's been on a Fuck Canada Day sprint, which is really funny if you're actually following him. So I want to throw a big shout out to our boy Puff and all our guys at Barry Wrestling. They're doing a lot of work this week.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm going to go and check out a bunch of it too. I think our good friend Rob, by the time this is airing, or by the time you're listening to it, I'll probably be at Barry Wrestling doing their Canada Day festivities. Very excited for that. Good friend Rob is going to be down for the weekend. What's that?
They're doing Kempin Fest.
Kempin Fest is a big festival in Barrie as well. They'll be doing that at the end of the year. And then the next day after that, Tragically Hip cover band, Practically Hip playing. Me and Sean Gibson, both very excited about that one. I can't wait for that. I've taken that entire weekend off work. I'm very excited for it. What more do I need in life? I have wrestling and I have the Tragically Hip. What more in life do I need?
And then you and I will be back in full force at Barry Wrestling on July 9th.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my I return to work after Pat leave on July 10th. So I'm literally spending my last day of, not really freedom, but not working at Barry Wrestling with all those great Barry Wrestling fans. I can't wait for it. Man, it's I'm really looking forward to that. It's probably going to be a great card, but Barry Wrestling's got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah,
just like our boys at Crossbody do.
Yeah, we had a good time. If you guys want to head over to our YouTube page, we have a very special breakdown. Mike and I and Wilson went down to Crossbody Pro Wrestling with our friend Ben Ortmans and Holden, and they brought in Madman Fulton from Impact Wrestling, who great guy. Yeah, we had a great time, and it was a great show. And head over to YouTube and check out our full review on that on the car ride home from the show. It was a lot of fun.
Before we end our plugs and get into our discussion topic of the week, I want to do a cheap plug and a not so cheap plug. The cheap plug is to go to. Yeah, my son is here. He will do some drive-bys. Get used to it.
See, normally I get all the run-ins with Lucy the cat or Max the dog, but it's your son's running week this week.
It is. He so the cheap plug will be going to prowrestlingtees.com/countedout7 to get your very own Counted Out t-shirt. I promise you, we're going to have a couple more designs coming up really quick, so keep an eye on that webpage. The not so cheap plug is also going to be at ProWrestlingTees.com. As of today of recording, as we're sitting here recording, we are only 2 hours removed from the United States Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. I don't usually share my political opinions on this podcast, but I'm a little pissed off about it. So I figure it's a good day to be wearing this t-shirt, and you can get this shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com. The reason I'm plugging it so hard is because every single dollar spent on this shirt goes to help Planned Parenthood and pro-choice organizations all over the United States.
Yeah, it's a great cause there, and a great shirt too. And you know, I'm going to leave my political beliefs out of the show. I'll use this as an escape, but I'm just going to go like this. Let me just clear my throat here. It's bullshit. Oh, sorry, I just had something in my throat there.
We don't get serious on this show very often, so we'll leave it there. We'll start talking about some wrestling again. But I apologize if I end up having to move. I didn't realize my neighbor was about to mow his lawn. Hopefully, it doesn't fuck everything up.
Oh, wonderful!
So, yeah, at any time you just can't hear me anymore, Tyler, we might have to hit that pause button, and I'll have to move locations.
You know, I love editing, so.
Yeah, I
know. Before we get into our little conversational piece, this is our selfish episode, one of my favorite episodes of the year. We invited you back this year because you were banned from Canada last year.
You banned me last year.
I banned you from our Canada show last year because you did such a shit job on your list the year before that of your Canadian pay-per-views. I banned you last year, but you can come back this year.
I can't remember. Did you make the list last year, or did Adam make the list last year?
I made the list last year. I did the top 7.
So what you're telling me is you get 2 candidate lists in a row. This is bullshit.
Well, to be fair, I haven't done a list almost the entire year.
All right. All right.
So I got to see if I remember how to do
You
this
haven't done a list in a long time.
It's been a minute.
This isn't one you're allowed to fuck up on. Trust
it's a hard
me,
one.
I know.
So I know the standards I've set are very high. I think I did a good job last year. This year, I'm going to be counting down the top 7 matches featuring only Canadians in it. So sorry to our American friends, but this is our Canadian Pride episode. This was probably one of the hardest lists I've ever had to do. I really underestimated it, didn't give myself enough time to watch everything I wanted to watch, but I watched most of it. I think I got a pretty solid list down. But before that, you know, for Canada and Canadians, we always talk about, you know, the Bret Harts, the Owen Harts, the Chris Jericho's and Omegas,
Edges, the Christians,
Edges and Christians, the big names, right? But there are a lot of, you know, unsung heroes on the Canadian scene. Like, who do you think are some of the most underrated Canadian talents that don't get that type of love that the Benoits and the Bretts and that, well, maybe not the Benoits anymore, but the Jerichos and the Omegas, and you know what I mean? Who are some of those guys that you think maybe, you know, give them a little shine today?
I've got a lot of names I could roll off, and I'm going to. But my number one, the first name that comes to my mind, I think has to be Eric Young.
That was my first one too, actually.
I mean, yes. Has he been a mainstay name in Impact Wrestling for 20 years? Yes, he has. But he's never been on the tip of people's tongues when it comes to the greatest Canadian wrestlers. And I think that's a shame, because he's been so consistently good for 20 fucking years that why aren't we talking about him in that light? Because WWE dropped the fucking ball on him by, number one, not signing him 15 years prior and then fucking up when they did sign him. Just because you don't make it big in WWE does not mean you're not one of the best wrestlers in the world. Thank you, Josh Alexander, for proving that in 2022.
Yeah. I'll throw a name out there that I think could use a little bit more love, and I think that's Rick Martel.
Rick Martel was going to be my second name. Second to Eric, because I think people do give Rick respect, but I think it's his like hardcore niche fan base. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think he gets it from the mainstream audience. You know, this guy's one of the longest reigning. He's one of the longest reigning AWA world champions of all time. He had the great run as the model, former couple-time WWF tag team champion. I think Rick Martel gets slept on a fair amount when talking about some of the greatest Canadians of all time.
Couldn't agree with you more. I got a name for you. Don't shit on me for this, okay? because I think he's better than people. He's remembered for only one thing, and I think that's sad because I've watched a bunch of his matches and he's really good. I'm gonna say Iron Mike Sharp.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned Iron Mike Sharp. He's one of the best enhancement talent of all time.
Thank you.
Huge germaphobe.
Mike Sharp far better. Mike Sharp is far better than the guy who had a good match with Brown.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I want to put one out there, and I want to go to the women's side. And, we always talk about Trish Stratus, but how about showing a little bit of love for Gail Kim?
100%. I think Gail Kim is the best women's wrestler to come into Canada. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. She is a better performer than Trish Stratus. Love me some Trish. Gail Kim is better in every category. Every category. You want to talk about charisma? Okay. Maybe tied. But you want to talk about wrestling ability? It's Gail. You want to talk about longevity? It's Gail. You want to talk about mind for the business? It's Gail. It's Gail. Gail Kim is the best female wrestler to come out of Canada in history. Gail Kim is top 10, maybe even top 5 female wrestlers in the history of the sport.
She's very good. Very good. I've only got one more name I want to shine a little bit of light on. And that is PCO.
100%.
I think he gets overshadowed with the.
I think he's respected just enough though, because this everything he's gotten himself. He was respected as a great tag team wrestler back in the 90s.
Yeah, I put him with the Rick Martel category though, where especially with his resurgence. But I mean, people sleep on him. Ring of Honor champion, multiple-time WWF champion. Even his run as Jean-Pierre Lafitte or whatever that pirate gimmick was, he had a great matches with Bret Hart, and one of those almost snuck onto my list this week too. So. Ooh. It didn't.
I've got a couple more names. I've got the greatest Canadian athlete of all time, Mr. Gene Kiniski.
Yeah, beautiful.
I've got Dino Bravo, dude.
Yeah, Dino Bravo, huge draw in Montreal, man.
Gets enough love. I really don't.
Huge draw in Montreal.
You might fight me on this, not because you think he's not right, but I maybe you don't think he's underrated. But I don't think Lance Storm gets enough love.
I agree. I love me some Lance Storm. And I will give a full spoiler. Lance Storm and Chris Jericho for one night only. The ECW pay-per-view was the hardest match I left off my list.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, Lance Storm.
I got one more. One last one. And I left him for last because people know how much I love this guy, and he doesn't get the love he deserves from anywhere. And that's Steve Corino, baby.
Yeah, I always forget, guys like Corino and Piper, I always forget they're Canadian. I don't know why. I just...
it's easy to forget the Piper's Canadian. It's very easy to forget the Piper's Canadian. A lot of people even think that, he was born in Scotland and moved here. No, he was born in Saskatchewan. but Steve Corino... it's sad that nobody thinks of him as a great Canadian wrestler.
I agree with you on that.
I'm a massive Corino fan. I love Corino. I think he's not only an underrated Canadian wrestler, he's an underrated wrestler in general.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Former
Can we go on a side tangent here for a minute before we move on? And I'll probably bring up another name that belongs in this list in a second. Why is it, do you think, that so many wrestlers that we would consider underrated and great wrestlers, why do you think the WWE always seems to pay attention to them when their careers are over? For example, Steve Corino. Steve Corino never got into the WWE and was never offered WWE. WWE never seen his worth. But now that he's retired, he's one of their guys. Another name to be brought up is Petey Williams. Petey Williams is an amazing talent, one of the greatest in Canadian history, and they didn't give a shit about him until he was retired, and now he's one of their boys. Why is it? And it's not just Canadians. There's a lot of guys like that, Nigel McGuinness and so many other guys that they come in after they're retired and like, hey, you're really, really good. Come in and help us get the next stock ready. Why is it, do you think, that these guys are good enough to get the next stock ready, but they weren't good enough to be on the main product 15 years ago?
I just think they don't fit what Vince is looking for, and it's not that they're not good enough. It's just
was PD and Steve both? This is for PD and Steve. Were they too small?
I mean, it's tough to tell. It depends on the mood with Vince. You know, one minute the guy's too small, the next minute he's a world champion. Like, Vince is very rational, but you know, Vince has a type, and from an in-ring standpoint as well, Petey Williams is never going to be allowed to do a Canadian Destroyer on WWE TV. Right, the pile driver is a banned move in the WWE.
I mean, they probably would. I think they would have let him do it if he modified it. Like, look at that move that Goldust used to do. It was like a Canadian Destroyer meets a sunset flip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the Amazing Red move, the infrared. That was his.
Yeah,
move.
yeah. I mean, they might have let it.
Same.
They might. I don't know. They might have let it slide. They may have. If they let the Styles Clash slide, that's hurt way more people than the fucking Destroyer ever did. Then I'm sure
we did get to see Destroyers in NXT as well. So, but at the time when Petey was coming up, no chance. You know what I mean? You got to go back. You got to go back 15 years.
Yeah, but there's a difference there. We actually got to see professional wrestling on NXT.
That's fair. And with Carino, I think it's just his in-ring style is not what Vince was looking for at that time, right? Carino, very old school style, and I know it works for a lot of people, and I don't think it worked for Vince. But why would you not want minds like that to help train people, though, right?
One last question before we move on. Well, we're talking about Canadians. Has WWE ever had a Canadian referee?
Yeah, there's one right now.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all their referees. I was trying to.
Hello, Jimmy Corderas.
Jimmy's Canadian. How did I not remember Jimmy?
Kind of our friend.
Friend of the show, Jimmy Corderas is fucking Canadian. Oh, okay.
And
Hornet. I know you hate editing, but
you want me to edit that out? I think I should. This is why you don't get invited to come on Canada Day.
Dude, I've had so much Cottage Springs.
All right, well,
I'm drinking the waters today, and you know how they go down.
They are delicious. Sponsor us, Cottage Springs. Really quick before I move on, I just want to give a shout out to the current crop of upcoming Canadian talent. And I just want to bang off a couple names. I don't want to go into detail on any of them, but I just want to mention names. Gabriel Ferway's Von
He's
Vertigo.
from Mexico.
He is not. Von Vertigo.
Yeah, he actually is.
He's Canadian.
He lives here, but he was born in Mexico. I swear to Christ. Ask him.
Well, you can
His
still
name
be...
is
He's still a Canadian. Von Vertigo.
Yes, he is a Canadian.
Alexia Nicole, Junior Benito, our boy and yours, the Hot Stepper, Jesse V. I know I'm missing a bunch. Travis Moore, Mark Wheeler, just Pretty Ricky.
I'm going to cut you off because you're missing the most important, the most misunderstood Canadian in history.
Clay Wilson, of course.
There you go.
Mr. What do they call him? Mr. Squishy Butt. That's what the Hot Stepper calls him.
Mr. Squishy Butt.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Canadian scene, John Atlas, I could go on and on, right? Who?
No, never mind.
Now you're making me edit again. And of course, our friend Jesse V, who's going to be a huge star as well. Just want to give a shout out. Go check out the Canadian independent scene for some fantastic talent.
And our boy Young Jay Lee, I've made him an honorary Canadian.
All right, I'm down with that. With that.
He's way too nice to be American. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Fair. We're gonna have an interview with him coming up in a couple of weeks too. So stick around for that. But I have some work to do this week. I have a list to do. So we alluded to it at the top of the show. I'm going to be counting down the top 7 matches featuring Canadian talent. Only Canadian talent. There can be no Americans in the match. So you will not see Canadian Stampede in this match with the Hart Foundation.
So to be sure, there's not a single Chris Jericho match on here, right?
Chris Jericho is Canadian. He's from Winnipeg, you idiot.
He was born in New York. He lived in Canada for like a cup of coffee, moved back to the States, funded the American government with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars towards the Trump government. He's not a fucking Canadian.
He is a Canadian, and he's on my list.
Move on.
Hey, if Chris Jericho is putting people on the list, you just made the list. He's on my list. All right.
See, I'm going to give you that because I'm a Jimmy Jacobs mark, not because I'm a Chris Jericho mark.
There you go. Well, I'm a Chris Jericho mark.
Hey, do you know anybody who's talked to Jimmy Jacobs recently and where you can find that interview?
I think if you go to the Counted Out archives on our YouTube page or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that other stuff, you can find us talking to Jimmy Jacobs last week.
Woo!
He's awesome.
I love Jimmy.
I do have some criteria for my list, though.
Okay.
Let's just say, for example, and it's going to be no surprise that Bret Hart and Owen Hart will be on my list. Obviously, I'm only choosing one match from.
Okay, so you're not gonna do WrestleMania 10 and then do the cage match.
No, I'd have to pick one. I'm only doing one. So, like, if I decided to put Owens and Sammy, let's say they've had 100 matches, I'm only picking one. Only one match gets.
All right. Is there a loophole there?
Steen and Generico and Owens and Sammy, I'm counting all as the same. Although I do think there is a great list.
Where I was going. Okay.
I do think there is a great list to be had there of the top 7.
There is a phenomenal. We can do a full best of 7 list of Sammy and Kevin.
Yes,
we could,
and I would like to do that one day. So yeah, Benoit and Jericho had 100 matches. I'm only picking one match that these guys had, so there cannot be multiples. There will not be 2 Bret and Owen matches. There will not be 2 whatever matches on it, right? So that's the criteria. I wanted to try to shine light on a lot of stuff here. Otherwise, my whole list would have just been probably Benoit and Jericho matches because they were all so good.
and we're only doing real Canadians, right? So Hacksaw Jim Duggan's on the list.
Oh, yeah, you gotta stick around and find out, man.
Right?
Oh. What do you think, man? You want to get into?
I say that's one of my favorite bad gimmicks ever.
Oh, the best worst Team Canada of all time.
Yes.
What do you think, man? You want to get into it? You want to hear my number 7 or what?
Go for it, man. Because I told you off air. I've got my number 1 and my number 2 set in my brain. Everything else is a scramble. I don't know what you could have on your list. I think I know what your number 1 is, because if it's not that, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything else is like, I don't know. This is a hard list, bro. You fucked yourself over this week.
Yeah, this is a tough one for sure. And I was changing it right up until we started recording because I just kept watching more and more. And I'm like, oh, this is better than I remember. Oh, this is good. And yeah, this is tough. And I'm going to start with one that I think a lot of people are going to, I think I'm going to get heat for my order, but I'm going to stick with it. My number 7,
go for it.
I'm going back to Ring of Honor Final Battle 2010, Kevin Steen versus El Generico in a fight without honor.
Okay. I'm with you. It's not what I was expecting. We're gonna talk in a bit, but okay, I'm with you.
I was really torn between 3 matches to put on between Steen and Generico or Owens and Sammy, even 4 because the WrestleMania match was pretty good too. But I went with this one. This was the culmination of a year-long storyline that they had with the Owens heel turn. I think a lot of people expect me to go with Ladder War here. And I rewatched.
Was great, but I think you picked the right match.
I agree. I rewatched both these matches today.
If you want me to be perfectly honest, this match made my list as well, knowing your criteria, but this was my number 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just,
but it's impressive. Out of all the matches they've had, you and I chose the same match. That's great.
I really came close to picking their Battleground match that they had in the WWE. That was my original choice, and then I went with Ladder War, and then I watched this one. I was like, this is the best one. The crowd heat was there.
I'll have to revisit their Battleground match.
It was really good. I think it's their best WWE match for sure.
But does anything in their WWE match, like anything at all in their WWE, does it match any of their ROH stuff?
No. And I will cheat code because Cole Cabana does a run in this one, but he's not in the match, so it doesn't count. And he's only there for 10 seconds, so it's fine.
Now I gotta ask you a quick question before we move on. Because I'm out in this beautiful sun. I can't see a thing. I can't see you. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're fine. You got a nice little. You look like the gates of heaven have opened up and are shining down on you.
Yeah, the sun is shifted as I'm sitting here, and I can't see a thing anymore. But as long as you can see me, we're good to go.
You're good. I'll let you know. Yeah, this is just I chose this match because I thought their ladder match was too spotty and it took too much time. It was too slow paced. This one, the spots that they did were huge. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, it's really hot.
This is not good. We have nudity on Canada. We just lost all of our viewers. Mike has taken his shirt off.
You'll notice too, I am burnt.
Happy Canada, everybody. We have Mike with no shirt on. Mike, congratulations. We have now hit every wrestling stereotype possible. We are the redneck hillbilly wrestling fans with no shirts on. This is why you're not.
There's only one way to beat this. Let's bring in Wilson.
This is why you're not. I love Wilson. This is why you're not allowed to come on Canada Day.
If we got Wilson in, Wilson would come in with no shirt, balancing a bottle of Bud on his fucking gut.
100%.
Eating Cheetos off his chest.
Now that is the Canadian dream.
Yep, I love Wilson. And if you want more Wilson, we're going to be throwing up some specials, man. We got Wilson joining us on our crossbody review show.
That's right.
And we did a weird list that shouldn't see the light of day, but we might throw it on as a YouTube special one of these days. And Wilson's on it for the first time ever.
Absolutely. Well, Wilson's not on my list here. I'm going to keep rolling with my list here. I'm going to go to my number 6. I'm going to Bound for Glory just of last year. I'm going with Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage.
Okay.
I rewatched this match today, and it's damn good.
Maybe I need to rewatch it because we discussed this yesterday. I was like, I asked you, I said about the Josh Kenny matches, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I got to revisit those. And I said, I remember being underwhelmed by Christian and Josh. So sell me on this.
I mean, I just think I really like both of these guys' styles, and I think they meshed really well together. I'm really a fan of Christian these days. I like his little slower, methodical style. It just great storytelling that he does. Him and Josh just gelled well together. They had a great back and forth match. They told a great story. Christian put over Josh strong with the ankle lock. I like the finish a lot. Josh stepped on his hand, so he couldn't crawl around, and Christian had to tap out. The only complaint I'd have a little bit on it is that I feel like they were running short on time and had to kind of rush the finish a little bit.
100%. Yeah,
I think they could have used 5 more minutes, but that's just being really nitpicky.
Unfortunately, in that, especially in 2021, both Impact and ROH seem to run into that problem a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're rushing the main event. I believe that match did suffer from that. I have a bit of an argument to this. I'm gonna save it for my honorable mentions though, because I have a feeling you didn't put what I would put on the list.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so I'm going to wait to see what the rest of your list is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think should be in place of this match.
Fair. And I know where you're going with it, and I'll tell you why it's not on that list. I think you and I see that match very differently.
Okay, good enough.
Number 5. This is where I think I'm going to get heat from you. We're going to WrestleMania 8, Bret Hart versus Rowdy Piper.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
This is a perfect spot for this.
This is anybody's number 2.
No, it's not.
Are you fucking high?
Have you
watched this match?
Yes, I have. It's a fantastic match. But this is where
This is one of the best matches in the history of WrestleMania.
No, it's not. It's a great match. It's a great match.
No, it is one of the best matches in the history of the WWF.
It's not.
This match, holy fuck, dude.
This is your
wow.
You love this.
I would have given you the number 4 spot if you had really good justification for the rest. Number 3 at the least, but
this is a great match. The other matches are better.
My brain is bleeding. How the fuck is this your number 5? Okay, justify this.
Because this is your favorite match of all time, and you have a soft spot for it. But it's
not my favorite match of all time, but it's my favorite It's my favorite Roddy Piper match. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite WrestleMania matches, and it's just a great match. It's just,
It is.
It's such
The
Bret Hart
storytelling
and
is
Roddy
great.
Piper. Bret Hart and Roddy Piper are two of the greatest storytellers in the history of professional wrestling, and I don't give a fuck what your boys fucking John Moxley and fucking Daniel Bryan want to fucking tell you. Listen to me. Professional wrestling is about fucking storytelling,
Absolutely,
and these boys
it is.
did it better than anybody.
This is a great match. It told a great story. Piper put Brett over. Great. There's just matches I think are better than this one, and that's not a knock on this match because this is a stacked list with stacked talent on it.
When I was gonna do my old podcast, Making a Mark, with my boy John, and I said, what's the first match you should show somebody who's never watched professional wrestling in their life? The very first match I showed this guy was this match.
I feel like though you would be the only person to pick this match
Nope.
for that.
No, I can tell you one other person because he's the man who helped me make this decision, and that's Adam Conton.
Well, I do respect the hell out of Adam, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think that there's other matches I would choose to show, and I'm not trying to shit on this match. I love this match, and you know,
I know you love this match. This is why I'm so surprised. I'm not mad, bud. I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
It's just I think that the other matches are better from an in-ring standpoint than this one. This is a high criteria list, man. This match was a great dramatic storytelling match. Piper put Brett over like $1 million. Brett had the drama with the bleeding. The finish was spectacular. I just, you know, it's number 5 for me. I don't romanticize this match like you do.
I'm not romanticizing it. It's just good. It's as good as I'm saying it is. I will defend this till the day I die. It is one of the greatest matches in the history of that company.
It's a top 15 to 20 WrestleMania match for sure.
I'm top 10 minimum, possibly top 5.
That is you romanticizing your childhood, my friend. Top 5, you're smoking crack.
No.
Top,
it's me defending my no. You might be right there, but I think it's more me defending my favorite wrestler of all time.
there you go. This is your romanticizing of this match.
Which is going to be you later in the list when you fucking jerk off all over Kenny Omega's chin, balls, and fucking chest.
Just because Kenny Omega's in my top 5 matches doesn't mean
well, he's obviously
doesn't mean I'm
5,
biased.
probably in your top
4. Doesn't mean that I'm biased towards it. I knew I'd catch heat from this one. I almost didn't even put this match on my list.
I'm not giving you heat. I'm shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not mad. I'm shocked. I know you respect Roddy Piper.
Big time.
I know you respect this match. We've discussed this match. You and I have had discussions about this match, and you've never, ever, ever given me any reason to believe you thought it was even close to a subpar match. So
I think it's Bret Hart's 3rd best WrestleMania match out of his entire career.
Piper's 3rd best?
No, Brett's 3rd best.
Oh, Brett's 3rd best. Okay.
This is Piper's best WrestleMania.
It's Piper's best.
Yes, 100%. But you know, it's just a good match. It's a great match, but the other stuff on my list, I think, is better.
I'm gonna say it's Bret Hart, Brett's 2nd best match.
But it's not. It's not though.
We'll talk later. I want to see what your number 2 is. We know what his number 1 is. I want to see what his number 2 is.
All right. Well, let's. I'll move on to what my number 4 is then, because I know we won't see eye to eye on this one. My number 4. I'm taking us to the Royal Rumble 2001 Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho ladder match.
You're not going to get a fight from me.
This match is.
Listen. You're going to get a fight from me. Every match you say from now on, I'm going to be like, in the back of my head, I'll be like, this isn't better than Roddy and Bret. But I got to remove that now. It's done. Okay?
That's my gimmick.
Yeah. I will remove that. It's done. Does this match belong in your number 4 spot? Yes, it does. This is a perfect placement for this match.
I really went back and forth with these guys because they have so many good matches. I took a look at their Super J Cup 95 match, which really was close to coming on here. I took a look at Backlash. I had a great match, which was really close to coming on. But to me, this match is just This is, in my opinion, the greatest ladder match in wrestling history.
Oh, those are some bold words.
I love the way
I would have to. That sounds like a list. We'd have to really do some research for me to say to me to agree with you there. Is it the greatest?
You know why I like it though?
I don't even know if it's the greatest ladder match in WrestleMania history, but
I like this ladder match so much because
phenomenal match. Yes,
Jericho, especially Jericho, I'm going to single out here. When he does ladder matches, the ladder is a weapon. It's not a prop. And I love that. He did it with Christian, which is another match I could have made this list. On Unforgiven, they did an IC title ladder match, which was fucking amazing. Him and Benoit beat the hell out of each other. The ladder was not a gimmick. It was a weapon. And every time they used it, it made sense. I didn't have to wait 10 minutes for them to set up a spot, which is why the ladder war with Steen and Generico didn't make my list. I hate that. You're in a wrestling match. It's not the TLC matches are great spectacles, but this is better.
It's one of the things I love about Benoit. Everything was a weapon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ropes were a weapon. The mat was a weapon. His head was a weapon. Everything was a fucking weapon to Benoit. Benoit, like one of these days, I've been struggling with it because of the controversy, and I feel like a lot of people won't listen to the list if we do a Benoit list. But I want to do a Benoit list because not to tribute the man or the actions of the man, to tribute his matches, to tribute his wrestling style. He is, and I want to see if you agree with me here, I'm going to say he's in the top 3 greatest Canadian wrestlers of all time.
I think he's in the top 5, maybe greatest wrestlers of all time.
Okay, there we go. He is.
I will never do a Chris Benoit list though.
I don't put him in my top 5 because
if you're talking about just in-ring work,
if we're talking just in ring, he's top 3 of all time. Yes.
Yeah. I will never do
full picture. I don't even know if he makes my top 10. He's I don't know.
A whole picture is different criteria, but I'll never do a Chris Benoit list because I'll never be able to narrow down 7 matches. It's impossible.
Well, looks like it's my list, man.
Good luck. This match and these guys just always beat the shit out of each other, right? Moving on to the number 3. We're going to keep Chris Benoit's name flowing here. We're going back to Monday Nitro from 1999.
This is the first guy to make it 2 times, right?
Yes. Monday Nitro from 1999. Chris Benoit versus Bret Hart in the Owen Hart tribute match.
Yeah.
This one went back and forth with my number 2.
This is your number 4?
This is my number 3.
Number 3? This is where I would place it myself.
This was fighting for my number 2 spot. I went back and forth on it. My number 2 spot, I have my reasons behind it. From an in-ring standpoint, this might be the best match.
I'm pulling a Tyler here because I'm so angry knowing what your number 2 is. Like, this is what you do. When I'm doing my list, you don't think about what my list is. You think of what my list isn't.
Yes, that is correct.
I try my best not to do that when you make lists. I try to be that. Just think about what we're talking about. But I'm pulling at you fully right now. I want to think about. Fuck me. I want to think about Bret and Benoit because this is one of my favorite WCW. This is my favorite WCW match.
Yeah.
Ever, because my other ones technically are NWA matches. Tully and Magnum is NWA.
Yeah, fair.
Right?
Fair.
Roddy and Greg is NWA. So they don't count. This is my favorite fucking WCW match. So I want to just think about this, but all I can think about is how angry I am.
Well, save your anger.
Number 2 is.
Save your anger when you hear the words come out of my mouth, and let's talk about the greatness at the in-ring that these guys do. Harley Race was the guest ring announcer for this match. It happened in the building that Owen Hart tragically passed away in.
Harley?
It was in Kansas City.
Is that why? That's
it was in that's Harley was so over in that.
Yeah, I understand that, but this match wasn't supposed to be about Kansas. This match was supposed to be about Owen.
Well, and Harley goes way back with the Hart family as well. He used to always work the Stampede territory, right?
Yeah.
They brought Harley in for the ring announcing.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on Harley. I love me some Harley Race. He's one of the greatest champions in the history of professional wrestling. He's one of the men that made it possible for the guys that we love to do what they do. But when I'm breaking it down, they're doing a match in Kansas City because that's where Owen Hart died.
Yes.
That's why they're doing this match. Bret Hart chose Chris Benoit personally for this match. So I wasn't sure why Harley came into it. But if that makes sense, if that's why if Bret wanted Harley in for that reason,
Bret and Harley have
connection,
they had a tremendous amount of respect for each other. Absolutely.
Okay.
And then this is just a clinical masterpiece. I put this up here with one of Benoit's best matches. It's
in my top 3 favorite Benoit matches.
This one, and if you go back to his match with William Regal at the Brian Pillman Memorial Show, I think these are Benoit's 2 greatest technical wrestling matches of all time.
Benoit's the kind of guy, he doesn't need it, but when you give him something to fight for, he goes that extra step. You tell him this is in tribute for somebody that we love, he's going to go that extra step. And he does it every fucking time. He did it for Pillman. He did it for Owen. He did it for... Benoit, man, I don't know how to put it down. His passion for the sport is second only to the passion he has for the people he loves in the sport. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talked about this match on a prior list, the most emotional matches of all time list that I did. Just bell to bell. This is what 2 Canadians stepping in the ring and leaving it all in the ring. You know what I mean? From an emotional standpoint, from a physical standpoint, this match not only makes me proud to be a human being, but it makes me proud to be a Canadian, the way that they honor Owen and just watching the 2 masters of their craft at their very best.
This is my only, if I was to choose Bret Hart's 25 greatest matches, this is the only WCW match that makes the list.
Yeah, I don't think I argue that point. He had a good one with Booker T at a Bash at the Beach, and his match with Benoit Mayhem in Toronto was pretty good too. I don't think it makes my list though, but yeah, this match makes any list for Bret Hart for me, for sure.
100%.
All right, let's piss off Mike. Let's go to number 2.
Here we go. Let's do it.
We're going to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Let me tell you something right now. I have a feeling I know what your number 2 is. If I'm wrong, that means my number 1 is your number 2. I'm turning off the phone.
No, you're not wrong. My number 2 is New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to shit on this match because it's not. This is not a top 2 match. Not to me. I love Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is one of the greatest wrestlers to come out of this country. I do. I truly do. We joke. We say that I hate Kenny. I don't hate Kenny.
I don't know.
I don't hate Kenny. I don't. Kenny Omega at one point in time was my favorite wrestler in New Japan. He was. But this match is great. Is it better? Is it a better story than Roddy and Bret? No, it's not.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not doing the best storyline the best story matches.
I'm going to give this to you because it's your list, and I'm hoping to set a precedent right now that next time you're pissed off, you'll just say, "Mike, it's your list. I'm not mad."
No, sorry. I will get mad at you and give you shit until you tell me to shut the fuck up.
I'm telling you. See, and then I'm the bad guy. However, I'm going to give it to you. You get to tell me to shut the fuck up this week because I'm sorry. I try not to disagree with your list. I can't. You will never sway my mind that this is any better than a number 5.
This match is my number 2 for many different reasons. Number 1, it it was such an influential match for what pro wrestling is turning into now. This match,
okay. You just switched that around. I said, so how is it an influential match? It happened 6 fucking years ago.
I'm just looking at this whole thing from top to bottom. I love the story they told in the match. I thought the match was a physical, vicious brawl. I love the lead up to this match. It had the wrestling world phenomenal. Buzzing.
They did the whole thing with the Jericho cruise and everything he did with the Bucks. Everything was really fun.
When he showed up unannounced in New Japan and hit him. Oh, that was the best thing we saw on camera. Mike swatted a bug and hit his own sunburn. He is in excruciating pain, folks, and it is the best thing that has happened, maybe in the history of Count It Out.
That hurts so fucking much.
That makes me so happy. That's what you get for hating Kenny Omega. That's what you get for hating Kenny Omega, all right?
Kenny Omega. I love Kenny Omega. And I'll say it 1,000 times so Don Callis doesn't hate me.
These guys have a war in this match. They beat the hell out of each other. The overall, from top to bottom, the Painmaker character that Jericho brings out, Kenny Omega, in my opinion, was the best wrestler in the world at this time period. I don't think it was even close. Maybe Okada, but Kenny Omega just doing some of the best work.
In ring only.
Yes, in ring only. And I just think these guys hit a home run.
In this game, in this sport, we have to fucking say that, because this is not baseball. This is not hockey. It's not black and white in professional wrestling. There is a complete spectrum of what makes you the best. So if you want to say who's best in ring talent, you got to say that, because Kenny Omega is. Kenny Omega can't cut a fucking promo to save his fucking life.
Kenny Omega's promo work I find to be very inconsistent. He kind of reminds me of John Cena, where he tries to be too
one
silly.
Of the reasons why there's no such thing as great characters in wrestling today. He doesn't.
There are many great characters in wrestling.
Well, there
today.
is.
You're out of your mind.
That's very unfair of me to say. There are a lot of great characters. Kenny Omega isn't one of them.
No, I don't think he is either. I attribute him to John Cena in the regards where I think John Cena cuts amazing promos when he's serious and he wants to, but he does his fart gaga funniness. And I think Kenny Omega does the same thing. I've heard Kenny Omega cut some fantastic promos, but he tries too much to be a little insidey and edgy sometimes. And that's just not my style either. Jericho, on the other hand, cuts fantastic promos all the time. And he did that during this build for this match. Jericho's first big match outside of the WWE since 1999. And he delivered. I love
because Chris Jericho is one of the greatest professional wrestlers in history.
Yeah, from top to bottom.
And I mean that on the full spectrum.
Yeah, 100%. In-ring, character work.
He is phenomenal at every aspect of what makes a great professional wrestler. Every aspect.
And I love the energy he brings to New Japan Pro Wrestling with this killer instinct where, he's this vicious, almost like Bruiser Brody psycho. And I love that character. And I thought he played it off great in this match.
The Painmaker character is one of my favorite things he's done in his career. For sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
If only he was actually Canadian, we could be talking.
He is Canadian. He is. He's just as Canadian as Rowdy Piper.
You mean the guy who was born here? Never mind.
From Glasgow, Scotland. Either way, we're
about to talk about Sean Morley, aren't we?
Why would we talk about Sean Morley? Oh, Val Venus.
Because he was born. Because he's booked from what was his book from Las Vegas?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
The big Valboski. Yeah. He did not make the list this week.
Wait, your number one isn't.
I don't even know. Val Venus versus. What was Val Venus's best match, do you think? Just in general.
Val Venus must have had a match versus Edge at one point. He must.
You would assume so.
Yeah. What is Val Venus's best match? He had a great match against Taka Michinoku at one point.
He had a great match against D'Lo Brown at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And the one where he won the IC title against Ken Shamrock was also a great match.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Which Sin Bodhi match made your number one?
Which Simbodi match? Kazarni versus
Love you, Sin. We're not fucking around. We're not shitting on you.
Let's get to the real number one though. And obviously, I don't even think there was a question about it. It's Bret Hart
There's
versus
no question.
Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. I went with WrestleMania 10.
Of course you did.
Over SummerSlam.
Listen, I love that cage match. I love it. I have a good buddy I used to argue with all the time. A dude that it was funny. He trained me. I went to this restaurant years ago, and he was my trainer on Fry's side. And I found out very quickly he was a big mark. So all we talked about was wrestling all day for fucking 10 straight hours. And I found out that he hated this match. But he hates the match for the finish. That's the only reason he hates the match is for the finish. And I love the finish. I think the finish is genius.
Yeah, me too.
I go off on it all the time. I think it's a great finish. Now, with that said, everything, you cannot shit on a single minuscule second of the WrestleMania 10 match.
It's the best. It's one of the best matches of all time.
It is I always say that I constantly say that I'm not a huge Bret Hart fan, yet he's in two of my top 3 favorite WrestleMania matches in history.
I told you,
and
the
by
Piper,
2, I mean my number 1 and my number 2.
the Piper match is his 3rd best WrestleMania match.
Yeah, but this is 2.
The Austin
in my favorite. I see what you're saying.
Like
my
Austin
favorite
and Bret.
WrestleMania matches. I got WrestleMania 13. Bret and Austin as my number 1,
Yeah.
and Bret and Owen as my number 2.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
those
Bret,
are-
and then Bret and Piper as number
Bret
3.
And Piper as my number 5. Bret is in 5 of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time.
And if you're talking about, but like I said earlier in the show, Bret versus Piper is Bret's 3rd best WrestleMania match.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because Piper or Austin and Bret and Bret and Owen they're classics of all time.
Yeah,
and any company, they're fantastic.
This Bret and Owen match, everything worked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times we can talk about this match on this fucking podcast.
It's been a lot.
This is not the first, second, or third time we've talked about this match, and it's not the last time
I also feel like this match has probably been a number 1 before on a different list as well.
Oh, 100%. 100%. This match, you go all the way back to Survivor Series. Okay? You start planting the seeds. We've talked how many times on this show how much I love a long build. WrestleMania builds should start in November. I truly believe that. They used to, they should still. If not, at least January at the Royal Rumble. But start planting the seeds of Survivor Series. Excuse me. The fact, it was such a slow, long build from Owen being the only eliminated Hart member to him being pissed off at Bret, to them getting back together and Bret being okay, and him being pissed off at Bret again, to, all this like back and forth, to Bret saying, I will never fight my brother. I just, it's such a phenomenal story. And then you get to the match itself, and it just so happens to be one of the greatest wrestling matches to happen in the history of WrestleMania.
Yep, absolutely. And it holds a candle to this day. It was the easiest choice to be my number 1.
With one of my favorite finishes in the history of WrestleMania, because take it back all those years, who expected Owen to go over?
Nobody. Especially because Bret had the title shot later in the show.
Exactly. Bret was the man they were pushing, and everybody knew that. They're like, even if, I don't know if there was such thing as smart marks back then, but if there was, the smart marks are sitting there going, well, they fucked over Bret at WrestleMania 9. They're not going to fuck him over this year. So they're going to put him over Bret strong. They're going to put him over Owen strong. They're going to go and fucking, pretend to struggle against Yoko and beat Yoko. But then he loses against Owen before his title match. that must have thrown people off so much. I was a kid. I don't remember, like, I remember watching it, but I didn't have that. It was real to me. You know what I mean? Like kayfabe, I didn't know what the fuck kayfabe was at this point in time. Wrestling was still real to me at this point in time. I'm only fucking, what year was WrestleMania 10? Like fucking
94.
94. So I am 13 years old at this point in time. I'm still a dumb mark. You know what I mean?
Some would argue you might be to this day.
You know what? I wish I was. Sometimes it'd be easier. But watching that match going, Brett just lost to Owen. Now what? If that would have happened today, people would be like, they buried him. What the fuck? They buried him. You know what I mean? But psychology and storytelling and everything, it was so good. I love this era of wrestling because I'm sorry, I hate to be that old man yelling at a cloud, but it's way better than anything we're getting today.
I really like the small thing too, where, this was Owen's big night. I finally came out of Brett's shadow. I beat him. And at the end of the night, Brett's the world champion, and he's taking it away from Owen again. Not by his choice. He just had the title match already, right? And Owen's just that like, this is everything I'm talking about. When a heel has something where he's not 100% wrong about, it's magical. And Owen Hart pulled it off greatly, and we saw, I'm just so happy that, I know a lot of people are not AEW fans, whatever, but it's nice to see Owen still getting the love. The Owen Hart Cup, I thought was a beautiful tribute. I thought Martha was great coming out there and giving her speech. And I'm glad that Owen's still getting the shine and the love to this day.
I mean, let's be honest. He would be getting the shine and the love. She just wasn't letting it happen until she found a company that she would let happen with. The love for Owen never stopped.
Yeah. I'm saying I'm glad, not just because it's AEW. I'm just glad in general that wrestling fans, even without the Owen Hart Cup, still love Owen Hart, and that makes me happy.
Nobody stopped loving Owen. You're 100% right.
I love that.
Owen is, to this day, still one of my top 3 favorite wrestlers in history. My first WWE shirt ever was an Owen Hart shirt that I bought at a house show in '98. And it's the only shirt from back in the day I still own. Owen's in my top 5 greatest Canadian wrestlers in history and in my top 10 greatest wrestlers in history.
Yeah, he's fantastic, man.
We got to do an Owen Hart list one day, man.
Absolutely we do. Mike, was there a match that you think should have been on my list that wasn't?
Yeah, one. I would have, fuck it, I'm forgetting some of your like lower matches now, so I don't know where I would put it. Probably it was my number 7, but Final Battle 11, Steen and Carino was on my list.
Yeah, fair. That's a good match.
I think Steen and Carino is a very underrated feud. It's an underrated match. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. So as soon as you put Steen and Generico at your number 7, I'm like, well, Steen and Carino's not making his list because there's no way that that match isn't as good as Steen and Generico.
Yeah,
but Steen made my list twice.
Yeah, fair. He had some great matches with a lot of Canadians too. Like him and Jericho had some good matches together. Kevin Steen, what a career he's had.
It's very hard. This was a hard list because I tried doing my research and it's hard to find Canadian versus Canadian wrestlers.
Yeah.
Because you assume, right? You're like, well, Martel must have fought, Bravo at one point. No, they were both heels. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's hard to find those matches. It's kind of fucked up. Between, let's say, 85 and 95, how many Canadians were heels at the time?
Yeah.
Right? Canadians didn't face each other because they were all fucking heels. Bret Hart was the only face fucking Canadian superstar. It was fucked up.
I've got some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The hardest one for me, like I said earlier, to leave off was Jericho and Lance Storm. They had a great match at ECW. I really wish I could have put that on.
That makes my list, to be perfectly honest. That's like a number 6 for me, but yeah.
Let's go. Eric Young and Bobby Roode had a great match at a Slammiversary. What else do I have? Christian and Chris Jericho.
Oh, sorry, I forgot one that makes my list that you didn't mention. But
Yeah,
go
what
ahead.
do you got? You go.
My actual number 6 that I wrote down. And this has to be a discussion because you mentioned it earlier that we're going to discuss this. You seem to have a problem with my love for this past weekend's Josh Alexander versus Eric Young.
Yeah, here's the thing. I thought these guys had a great match.
This match, in my opinion, completely exceeds everything that Josh and Christian was.
I'm gonna disagree with it because they just did something that I just don't like when wrestling matches do, and they just use everybody's finishers.
Part, did you?
I don't like that in wrestling. I was entertained by it. I was very entertained by it.
I like it when it makes sense.
It made sense exactly, but you take the contact out. I don't give a shit that it's Slammiversary. I'm watching a wrestling match at this point.
It wasn't only Slammiversary; it was the 20-year anniversary. They were paying homage to everybody that came before them. It made sense. But that spot took 3 minutes of the match. Talk about the rest of the match.
The rest of the match was great, but they did that throughout the entire match. It wasn't just like one sequence.
They did, though.
Yeah, they sprinkled in a black hole slam from Abyss here. Then they went to which I know Josh uses the ankle lock. But
it's not like it was like it wasn't so obvious. They didn't like, I don't know.
It was very obvious. The announcers made it very obvious.
I think it was number one. It was my favorite match of the year so far. This is my match of the year. Mm-hmm. It was my match. It was my match of Slammiversary. It was my match of 2022. Slammiversary is my pay-per-view of 2022. Sorry. It was a 9.75 and a fucking 10 for me. This was.
I don't have the same love for. I thought it was a great show, but I'm not on board with you on that.
I know you're not. And that's fine.
For me, still
this is top 3 pay-per-views of the 2020s for me.
I mean, night one of WrestleMania, I think, is the best pay-per-view of the year so far. I don't think anything's come close to that, but
I think this was better, and that's just me.
This was, but like a lot of things for me, like I'm not trying to shit on it. I don't like the King of the Mountain concept of a match.
Okay, may I for just 1 second? This was the first and only time I've ever liked the King of the Mountain match.
I don't like it because I don't like Tasha Steele got pinned like 6 times in the match. I just think
I know.
I think it makes
to kind of when you're going into this kind of match, you kind of almost have to suspend disbelief.
And I won't. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't.
I get, but it's
you know what I mean?
It's the same thing with Iron Man matches, though.
I don't like Iron Man matches either.
Okay.
I don't.
That's fair. Hey man, that's fair. If you're gonna shit on one, you shit on the other. That's fine.
My beef with it is I see someone like Tasha Steele who's been setting Impact on fire this year, building all this momentum, and she got pinned like 4 times in the match. Like I just think it makes the competitors in the match look weak, and I don't like that.
I just feel it was the first time in the history of this convoluted shitty match that it didn't feel convoluted and shitty.
I think it's the best King of the Mountain match of all time.
100%.
But it doesn't mean I like it.
This match, I've been watching Impact since its first show. I guarantee if you look in my fucking closet somewhere, there's a VHS that I taped its first show on off of pay-per-view. The day it fucking occurred. I've been watching it from day fucking one. I've always hated this match because it's so convoluted. This match, for me personally, was easy to follow because they did such a good storytelling job.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I'm gonna give that to the girls involved. I'm gonna give that to my boy Jimmy Jacobs because he's a writer there. But I say that now as a fan, but then Adam tells me that because our boy Adam, he held a viewing party for this match for this show, and a very, very, very good friend of mine named Matt. Anybody from The WrestleMedia days would know him as Matt Zuckram from We Have Till 5. Matt was at that party, never seen a King of the Mountain match in his life, and was fucking lost. He had no idea what was going on. Yeah, I found it easiest to follow King of the Mountain match in history because of the way it was written. It was written so well.
It was.
So
and the
well.
double pin spot was good. Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
I hate the match.
And my girl went over, baby.
Yeah, I thought the girls did a great job. I'm not shitting on any of it. I just don't like the concept of the match. I can never get into them. I just can't. It's just not for me. And going back to where we were with Eric Young and Josh, they had a great match. I don't like I've seen a lot of matches that do it before, and I respect what they did. I love the callbacks. I thought they were great, but it took it out of being on this list for me. I thought Christian and Josh told a better story, personally.
Okay. Well, this is one of our agree to disagree moments. You can tell I'm on I'm fully on my medication because I'm not mad at you. I'm not telling you to shut the fuck up.
I miss those days.
I don't.
I got a couple honorable mentions to bang out real quick here.
Good, because I'm out. I'm out.
Owen Hart versus Edge from Breakdown.
Good call. How could I forget that match?
Take
Great
your pick.
Call.
Take your pick between.
Was that Edge's first pay-per-view match?
No, but it was his. It might have been his first single pay-per-view match.
No Mercy was his first pay-per-view match.
I think SummerSlam was Sable.
Okay.
But this was in Hamilton, so extra special. Edge versus Christian, take your pick. They had 1 million. Christian versus Kenny Omega had some good ones. I had Josh and Eric Young. Brett versus Jean-Pierre Lafitte, underrated match from In Your House 3. Check it out. Christian versus Jericho, WrestleMania 20. They also had a great ladder match. We said Eric Young versus Bobby Roode and Lance Storm versus Jericho. Those are my honorable mentions.
One of my honorable mentions is Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon versus Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, because the British Bulldog is as Canadian as Chris Jericho is, so it counts.
I won't fight you on it, but in that case, Brett versus Bulldog is number 2 or number 1, and this whole list is completely different. But gotta give some love. Gotta give some love to the Bulldog. And the Anvil too, and Pillman, all the Hart Foundation. It's Canada
The Hart
Day.
Foundation just counts as Canadians. They're more than honorary Canadians.
What I'm going to be doing for the rest of my Canada Day is I'm putting on the brand new Tragically Hip live album that they put out.
Holy shit! I forgot it was Friday. It came out this morning.
As of recording, it came out this morning, but I'm going to be listening to that all day. I will be at Barrie Wrestling. And I will enjoy my Canada Day. Real quick, Mike, what is your favorite Tragically Hip song at the moment? Because it changes all the time.
Holy fuck. At the moment, the 100th Meridian.
Beautiful. I love it. I am going with, let me pull it up here because I was listening to it a little bit earlier today. It's called She Didn't Know. I love it right now.
Love that tune.
It's my favorite now.
I should say Bob Cajun because I'm at my cottage. My cottage is less than 25 minutes away from the town of Bob Cajun. And I love this area. This is my happy space. You'll never catch me happier than when I'm at my cottage in the Kawarthas, right outside Bob Cajun, Ontario. And the greatest thing to come out of Bob Cajun is that song. I love that song. But you know what I mean? One of my favorite things in my entire life right now was 3 or 4 nights ago. I'm walking around my cottage trying to ease my baby to sleep. My 3.5 week old baby. I got her in my arms, and I've got Rockabye Babies, lullaby renditions of the Tragically Hip playing. And I was playing the 100th Meridian, and that's where she finally
Out like a light.
Out like a light. So that's my personal it's always in my top 5, always. But today, that's my favorite because it puts my baby to sleep.
I'm going Grace 2 as my all-time favorite, but
oh my God. There's no such thing as all-time favorite. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun times, man. Mike, have yourself a very happy Canada Day and take us home, my patriotic brother.
Man, on behalf of a candidate list that almost didn't suck. Is it my turn next year? Do I get to play again?
I don't know. We'll see. You took your shirt off halfway through the show. You might be banned from next year. We're every wrestling stereotype now.
On behalf of fuck all the fucking stadies who say that they have the greatest country in the world. On behalf of the country that I love, the flag behind me, the greatest band in the world, the Tragically Hip, the greatest wrestlers in the world. We got everything, baby. And happens to be the greatest podcast in the world? I don't know. Let you decide. Rob says so. I know he does. I love you all. Happy Canada's Day. We've been Canada.
Cheers, eh?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian anthem as performed by Gord Downey.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gord Downey.